that people, just like Eli's sons, was abhorring the position of the judges. Now, that don't exonerate the wickedness in the people themselves. They probably always want. Who know how long Israel been wanting a king? The Lord told them, y'all gonna want a king one day, and he told them back during Moses' day, this is how it's gonna go when y'all decide to get anoint yourselves a king. But look at what his sons were. He's priest and prophet, and his sons, the judges, are corrupt. Brothers and sisters, if we corrupt ourselves in judgment, the people will suffer. And we're going to suffer as well, just like Samuel's son suffered, and just like Eli suffered because of his sons. So judgment have to be among us. Go to 1 Corinthians 5. 1 Corinthians 5. It's not nothing new. So as they start this thing, as the new pastors pop up on the scene, start to get the sheep back in order, look at one of the things that they teach, and the people have to be there. 1 Corinthians 5, verses 10 through 13. Go ahead when you got it.
Yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or with the covetous, or extortioners, or with idolaters. For then must ye need go out of the world. But now I have written unto you not to keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or a covetous, or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, with such an one know not to eat.
Now, some people will forget in the midst of not keeping company with the so-called brothers and sisters who are fornicators. It's so easy. Everybody like, yeah, get that fornicator up out of here. Right? But what about when you have to part ways with the railer? You know what the railers are? The people who are just always speaking evil and always bringing accusation against the brethren. Never pleased. Always got an issue with everything. That is one of the most difficult decisions to make that sometimes people don't even understand, because this person ain't necessarily an adulterer. They're not a fornicator. They're not a murderer. They didn't steal from nobody. But he said a railer. If someone called a brother and they're a railer, look up the word railer. A person who always is accusing the brethren, but is claiming to be brethren. What about the drunkard? I mean, and that's why we be letting the brothers and sisters know, look, you know, if you drink in modesty. And us who teachers, we can't drink a lot anyway, because we can't be given to wine, to too much wine. That don't mean you can't drink at all, but you got to be careful. You can't just have a reputation of always being popped. There's some people who just always popped. You see them and they just smell like, you just smell like beer. Like, you just always smell like a Corona or something. Like, is that just in your clothes now? Or what? Coming out their pores. Yo, it's cats that come around and then just be out their pores. And we done had to talk to brothers like, why you always smell like liquor? And then a problem that used to be a problem of mine, but the Lord took it away from me, the brothers or sisters who always hide. Always giving you excuse about the doggone weed. And then get so far gone in their drunkenness with marijuana that they try to give you the Rastafarian argument. You ain't even Rasta. You claim Israel, but when it come to you defending smoking all that weed, you bring up the Rastafarian argument? Gonna try to tell me how it's a herb of the field? Nigga, that ain't no bean. smoke spinach.
Good point.
A brother or a sister who can't get away from their drug habit, even they have to be dealt with in the same way that, yo, if you can't put this drug down and you just refuse to stop getting high, then I can't just keep company with you like that. We can't really depend on you. When have you ever just been able to depend on a weed head? I'm talking from experience. Nobody could depend on me when I'm high. And it just so happened to be that as soon as I got away from it, I got a job. And I ain't not had a job since. But all my weed smoking days, I refused to go to work. I would rather sell it and smoke it. I even would look for jobs in the paper. And as soon as I seen a job that asked for a P test, I just looked past it. I was more than qualified for it. Oh, no, can't get that one. Why? Because they want me to take a drug test. So I'm saying I refuse to stop doing drugs. Wake up drunk. Go to sleep drunk. In the middle of the day, got to light up and get a little drunk. That's basically all it is, y'all. It's getting drunk. All alcohol do is, it's a depressant. Slow down your heartbeat and stuff. You know, the endorphins kick in. You start to feel inebriated. Marijuana is a stimulant, but it still affects the same part of the brain. It's just one is a stimulant, one is a depressant, but they both infect the endorphins in your mind. And either one will make you feel good if you mess around with it long enough. I used to be on drugs so much to the point that I didn't even know. I even used to say, I don't even feel high. Smoking something this long, then got rid of all of it, and I'm talking about I don't feel it. That's a problem. And there's brothers and sisters among us who have had or have that problem. And if they can't stop for the sake of the gospel and for the sake of us to come together and get things done, then I gotta step off. People think that's harsh. It just gotta be what it is. But we walking in the ways of judgment because there is no king or priest that can be given to wine and do the duties of the kingdom. And what did Peter say? We are a nation of kings and priests, a royal priesthood. How you a royal priest and you high all the time and drunk all the time? Now, we're not saying that we don't have mercy and that we understand that there are problems and we help our brothers and our sisters and encourage them as they try to get away from the problem. Mm-hmm. But I remember one time it was a brother who even needed somewhere to stay. And I think this was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And I remember one time that they was like, well, one of the things is they didn't even say you can't like smoke weed ever. They just say, yo, you know you can't. I mean, we know you smoke marijuana. You can't do that here. You can't even have that on you here, let alone smoke it here. That man said, well, he couldn't take the offer. You homeless. But you can't take the offer because you got to smoke your weed. Here. Yeah. What?
Yeah, that's bad.
But it was better that that person said that. Because what good was they going to do us?
No good. Good point.
We have to have judgment, and we have to judge among ourselves and put away from ourselves that person who refused to be a part of judgment and what the congregation has to do. That's just that. We go right into chapter 6 and look at this. We got a few more left, brothers and sisters. Go ahead. Chapter 6, verse 1. We're going to read verses 1 through 8. Go ahead.
Dare any of you having a matter against another go to law before the unjust and not before the saints? Do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters?
So matters of life are supposed to come before the saints. And we need everybody to be involved in this process. You know why? Because the Lord gonna let us know something here. Continue to read.
Know ye not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life? If then ye have judgments, if then ye have judgments of things pertaining to this life, set them to judge who are least esteemed in the church.
This is why everybody have to be involved. Because the judgment of the Lord, the final word isn't going to always come from the person who's just always expected to have the right thought or whatever you could say. He said, but set those who are least esteemed in the church. And I'm going to tell you this, and some people don't like when I say it, but in a lot of places in this internet world, and the more we get into looking at all these different so-called groups, do you know who are the least esteemed members I see of these groups? They women. They have no regard for the opinion and the understanding and the wisdom that can be sitting in a sister that's right next to them. So when you have things that pertain to this life and matters is brought before the church, we shouldn't exclude our sisters. They should be there to hear what's going on too. And sometime the sister gonna say something that's like, yo, she right. But if she not asked her opinion, and if she just always feel that her job is to sit there and never say nothing ever, then she's not gonna even expect to share what the Lord has put in her heart. She has to minister too. If in Christ there is neither male nor female, then how is the female left out of judgment among the congregation? So when we have things going on that pertain to this life, we have to deal with it according to the ways of judgment, but we also cannot forget to include and demand that our sisters sit there to hear the matter as well, so we can understand what their opinion and their judgment of the situation is too. Because brothers, don't whatever decision we make affect our sisters too as they walk with us? So why wouldn't you want to know? Yeah. I mean, if you look, is she a ditzy chick? She some old silly woman to you? If she not, then she's someone who you perceive as a fellow laborer in the gospel. So you want to hear her opinion. Sisters, y'all heard what was said. What do y'all think? They'll tell you, and I'm telling you more times than not, these sisters have said things to us, and the brothers come back like, yeah, man, you know that sister, man, she spoke right. Yeah. So we wind up telling this brother something based off of what we agree was right from what that sister said. That's important. If we are going to have a communal effort, judgment, mercy, and faith must exist. If they don't, that don't mean we won't have an outward show of a community. But internally, the thing will be burning at the pillars. Let us go now that we bring up that. Wait, hold on. I want you to finish that part. Go down to verse 7. Just read verse 7.
Now therefore, there is utterly a fault among you, because ye go to the law one with another. What do ye not rather take wrong? Why do ye not rather suffer why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded?
Now, for some people, that might be hard. But if we are going to have the love of God, which mercy and faith are together, brothers and sisters, if you go to, we're not going to read it all. If you go, let me see, go to 1 Samuel, start at chapter 18 and read all the way to chapter 26. Do you know how many times Saul tried to kill David? You're going to count at least 9 different situations where David had to run because he knew Saul